Welcome back. Long time no see, everybody.
Been a good old 22 minutes since we've seen you. We're back.
Yes, I sat down at my desk and then they were like, okay, we're ready for you. Not ready for you. No, just kidding.
Blue Friday, a day full of streams. We've got special guests. We've got giveaways. You don't want to miss any of it, so thank you for tuning in again.
Biggest sales of the year also. Definitely make sure to check those out. Giveaways all day long. We make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell as well. Go to all the streams today. Hit the notification bell so you don't forget about it. If you know anybody that's in the in the hobby or looking to get into the hobby, share it today with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring all your friends. Bring all your family. Let's do it. And to find out all about what sales and giveaways and stuff going on, we'll touch later on them. But check out waterboxaquariums.com or your appropriate site for your region.
Yep. We are giving away 2 $500 gift cards and a Cube 20 package during the stream. If you want to win that, you got to head over to waterboxaquariums.com. There's a schedule on the page, and within those schedules, there are a little blue button to enter for the stream's giveaway. So you got to go over there and do that now. And we're going to give you a bonus word here in a little bit too that you can punch in there to get some more entries. Yep.
So each stream is going to have their own giveaway link. Goes active from the start of the stream and then for the first 30 minutes. There's also where you're going to enter in the bonus word. The bonus word is going to be randomly dropped throughout the stream. You will have to enter it at this spot. So scroll down to the schedule. That's where you're going to get your entries. And you'll see a bonus word pop up in a corner. And then that's where you're going to enter it in there. So just for those, because a lot of people had questions on where they put that bonus word, but it's going to get your extra entries, and that is for the 2 gift cards and the Cube Pack giveaway. We also have the grand prize, which you can enter at any time up until 7, which is for 2 $2,500 gift cards and the $5,000 gift card. Wrong graphic.
We can talk about that while it's there, though.
We'll touch on that real quick. So we got the hurricane disaster relief sweepstakes going on for a good cause.
Yes, if you guys weren't in the last stream, make sure you guys check this out. Go to waterboxaquariums.com/donate. You can donate a little bit of money to help those affected by Hurricane Ian. You're going to get entered in for a chance to win a $5,000 dream Waterbox package. You get to pick what it is. It could be the tank and the equipment. It could just be one of our more expensive tanks, whatever you want it to be.
Whatever you want.
So definitely go, if you can, donate to that. We're trying to get up to as close as we can to $30,000 today. So any little bit you can do helps.
We gotta announce what our number is each stream. Get these people pumped, moving forward. That's what we did last year. As we were getting towards the end, and we were pushing, and we tapped over $31,000, $32,000. So do check that out. And of course, aquariums are up to $1,000 or so off, which is the biggest sale of the year for Waterbox for sure.
Blue Friday is the time to buy a Waterbox if you're looking to get into one. The sales run on November 4th to 11th, anywhere up from 15 to 50% off aquarium systems. So definitely head up waterboxaquariums.com or your respective market's website. This is a worldwide sale. Or if you want to visit one of your local retailers that may be participating, ask them about it.
All right.
So
I think that's all the info. The spiel of info that needs to go out there. This stream is all about custom.
Yeah, so Custom is a new service, new to the US and Canada service that we've been offering. So this is the formal announcement for Waterbox Custom. If you're looking to build your dream tank, it could be an in-wall tank, it could be a much larger model than one of our production systems, or you want something very specific, this is for you. There you go.
Quick pause.
Bonus word.
Bonus word. No, this way. This way.
Yeah.
There it is. Enter that on the giveaway.
So bonus words custom. Again, go over to waterboxaquariums.com to the schedule on the stream that we're on now. Click the button, enter that word, you'll get your extra entries. So again, we launched Waterbox Custom. This is now available in the US and Canada. So real simple. If you're on our website, I don't know if you guys can pull that up for us.
Show them, start on the navigation so they can know where to find it.
So when you head over to waterboxaquariums.com, you roll over the
Aquariums tab.
Yep, the Aquariums tab. You're going to see shop by aquarium type. and you'll see custom down there.
And also shop by size has got custom on there, so
Yep.
either of those links will take you to the form.
Yep. So when you head over here, we're going to give you some information about our custom service, our custom team, what the possibilities are. You can just go right into the estimate if you want there. But yeah, there you go. So Jess is going to help
Hi, I'm
you build.
Jess.
Jess will help you walk through all the steps of all the different things that you need to think about when building your custom aquarium, whether it's an aquascaping tank or if it's a reef tank. And if you can scroll down a little bit, I'll show them the different options that we do offer. So there's a number of things that you're not going to see on some of our production tanks. So, you know, most of it's pretty standard, but you're going to also get the option of overflow placement. So
For all those wanting the external overflow, it is here.
Yeah.
It is here.
yeah, so you could put an external overflow on. You can have if you want to have a really big tank that sits in the middle of like some large room, you could have an island overflow. And then with bracing, you can go rimless like we do on most of our tanks, or you can go with a Euro brace, which is a one-piece CNC single pane of glass, like we put on the Reef LX.
Yep.
You can go with a standard, more economical bracing, which is multiple pieces of glass glued out along the parameter. And then, of course, the shape, which is we have the standard and the peninsula. So you want to make an 8-foot peninsula?
You want
You
a
can.
peninsula frag? People have asked about that for forever.
Yeah.
You can make whatever you want. And then, of course, you know, same craftsmanship, same everything. Now we have aluminum framed cabinetry.
Yes.
And electrical boxes, doors, panels, all that stuff, or just straight frames are also available to get a quote with your aquarium.
Yeah, so custom marine...
It's hard to find custom like fabrication on on cabinets. So
Yeah, so you won't see the cabinet details just yet on that specific page, but when you go through the building process, you will see a section for cabinets. So you can choose the frame only, or you can choose to do the frame and the doors.
Yep.
Currently available in black or white. So pretty cool custom marine shield cabinet, custom tank. Something to think in mind, to consider, which we're going to go through a lot of that here in a minute with Parkers Reef, is you really got to decide if custom's the right thing for you. You know, so it's not as simple as going and ordering a production tank.
Having it to your door in a week or two.
A lot of research goes into it, a lot of planning, and then also lead times too is something to consider.
Speaking of which, we had, so Australia has been doing custom Waterbox for a bit of time.
A few years, maybe 2 or 3 years now. Yeah.
So we decided Parkers Reef, Sam Parker, he's on YouTube, you can check him out, has a about 2-year-old, roughly 2-year-old custom Waterbox aquarium that is set up. And he's taken us through all the ins and outs of things to think about, his process. So it's a really good insight to a nice large custom aquarium and some of the stuff he learned along the way.
Yeah, so let's check that out. This is about a 30-minute video, right, you guys? Yeah. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy this. This is Parkers Reef Custom Aquarium. So we have Sam from Parkers Reef here coming all the way from Australia, or calling in all the way from Australia with his custom Waterbox Aquarium.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to learn about your process and get some more views on that beautiful aquarium.
Yeah, we can see it there behind you, looking stunning.
Yeah, this is the big custom Waterbox behind me here. Yeah. What can I tell you guys all about it?
Yeah, well, let's start off with Sam. What got you into the hobby, and when did you start with reef aquariums?
Yeah, funny story. I didn't have the usual path that a lot of people in the hobby do, in that I know most people tend to follow through a freshwater scene and then make the transition to saltwater at some point. Technically, I didn't really ever have a freshwater background. In fact, I didn't even really have a fish keeping background at all until about 11 or 12 years ago, when my brother-in-law became the manager of a local pet store. And we went there on grand opening day, and just to support him, we bought a little beta tank that we sat on our kitchen bench. We had that for about a week, and I decided this was a cool hobby. Let's go all into it. And when we started having a look at a few aquarium stores, we noticed the world of salt water, and that was it. The rest is history.
Started with a beta bowl. I like that.
That's quite a jump, you know. But
it definitely is, yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, tell me a little bit about what drove you to a Waterbox tank specifically with your custom aquarium.
Yeah, so I'd looked around at a number of options out there. I had a fairly specific space for this tank. I did have a previous display tank here that was also a custom, a local built tank. And when I went to upgrade that, it was for about 7-8 years. There wasn't that much more room to go, so I couldn't go twice the size. It was already a 6x2 foot aquarium, and this one was a metric 210 by 90 by 75. And I had a look at a few options out there. The local built units were of high quality, but nothing seems to come close to the glass quality and particularly the silicon quality when you go to something like a Waterbox. And once I saw those tanks in person, and then I found out you could do some custom ones of those, I was absolutely sold. So I spoke to the local distributor, and we had a bit of a run through some options and dimensions that would fit my space, and yeah, the rest was history.
Very nice, very nice. So let me back up just a little bit. You said the first tank that you had set up before this one was running for about 8 years?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So technically, I did have I had a small 130 liter tank that I bought secondhand after that beta bowl that I decided I'd jump into it, and we had a bit of a look around, and I went, oh wow, this could be a pretty expensive and time-consuming hobby. So I figured before, I do have a tendency of when I come across a new hobby to go all in very quickly. So once I saw just how difficult it could be, and also how expensive it could be, I thought before I go and spend my life savings, let's just make sure I can actually do this. So I bought a little secondhand tank, and within 6 months of having that, I was sold. I said, yep, let's build the custom tank, build it as big as we can. So yeah, that was, I guess you'd say it was my second tank, and yeah, it was in position here for 8 years, and it did surprisingly well. I was still a very a young to the hobby, a newbie reefer. I had some great advice from some local fish shops that made that tank pretty successful, and images of it still, I still find images of it across the internet of how well it did.
What made you change that one and upgrade just the dimensions slightly and over to a water box?
Yeah, for those sort of reasons, when I set that that previous custom tank up, I had been in the hobby for literally months at that stage, and still had a lot to learn. The tank that we put in there, like I said, it survived. Well, I say it survived. I voluntarily took it down after 8 years so I could introduce this tank here. It wasn't like it crashed or fell apart or anything like that. But there were a number of things that I just wanted to do differently. I wanted to go to an aluminium stand rather than a wood stand. I wanted to go to a nice Euro brace. I wanted to change the overflow style, and then some of the sump and just infrastructure around it. So there was nothing inherently wrong with the previous tank. It was just an opportunity to have a second go at things and incorporate all the things I'd learned. Whereas the first tank was set up with a couple of months' knowledge, the second tank was set up with near on 10 years experience, and I think the results from it so far have shown that difference nicely.
Definitely went all in to go with like a couple months of knowing how to do a reef and getting a big custom tank. So, and as you go, you do like to change things and like learn from like my placement of stuff and my overflow and plumbing would be different. So you got to do that all to your specs with the Waterbox Custom.
Well, Sam, let's talk a little bit more about dimensions. So you mentioned you didn't have that much more space. Was that tank that was sitting right behind you before your second tank? Is it the same location?
Exactly the same location, yeah. I did have grand plans to move just over this way, just off camera, and have a big 12-foot room divider, but
yeah.
We'll park those plans just for now, just because we've got our lounge room and kitchen working really nicely, and it's a big open plan space. So I don't know, it was more changing the layout of the house that I didn't want to go there. Thankfully, my partner was very supportive and was keen for me to do the tank, but ultimately we decided this location behind me here, which is visible via both our lounge room and our kitchen, and I'm actually sitting at our dining table right now, so it's front and center in the house, and that's exactly where you want the tank to be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Were you able to gain any? Where did you gain in dimensions? You said the other tank was about 6 feet roughly, right? So where did you gain? Did you gain in depth? Is it any longer?
I snuck out in all directions. So the previous tank was 6 feet by 2.5 by 2. Now this one, I went to a metric size, so I went 210 centimeters by 90 by 75. So literally centimeters or inches longer and bigger in each direction, not a huge amount, but it wasn't an upgrade for size per se. It was more an upgrade to just get all those little details and little things that I'd learned over the years, just the way I wanted it.
So what kind of design features did you do with the overflow and plumbing and aluminum stand that were up to what you wanted to see in this second aquarium?
Absolutely, yeah. So from the tank perspective, things had evolved a long way in those sort of 8-9 years from the previous tank, where we've gone from the big corner style overflow where you'd take up a huge amount of the real estate in your tank with this big overflow box that would go all the way through to the base and things like that. Now, these days, you always see these nice slimline overflows, and I wanted to have one of those because, again, I couldn't upgrade the amount of space in the tank that much, but I could pick up some things like that. So rock work and overflow and things like that have changed fairly dramatically. And despite the tank not being that much bigger, it feels considerably bigger just because of those little changes. So it's got a nice central slimline overflow now, a shadow overflow. The piping has just allowed for both the filtration and things I wanted to add onto the tank now, but also has the mindset of knowing that this hobby is continually evolving and giving myself the space and ability to change that while still keeping things neat is fairly key, because you can build a tank to the specs you want at that point in time, but as you guys know all too well, this hobby changes weekly.
Yeah.
And things go from sulfur reactors for nitrates to biopellets to media. These are three approaches that have changed in the space of a couple of years. So giving yourself the ability to change that without having to run, hoses dangling over things and all that is important to me. Plus, in this tank, one of the other things I really wanted to change was to raise the stand height. I went from 90 centimeters stand height to 110, and it just gives the tank a little bit more presence. It's more at eye level rather than having to crouch down sort of in front of it.
Yeah, a tall cabinet really does help make a tank feel a lot larger too.
Sure.
Yeah, really gives a huge presence, yeah.
But it's a really good point you made, especially when you're going custom and you have that ability, is make it so you have room to change or expand or alter. Because like you said, every 3 months we probably go through, this is the newest thing to use, but no, this is now if you are one of those that like all the gadgets and try different stuff, customize it so you have the room in the sump or the cabinet to accommodate all of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, the extra height gives you that space to get under there. I couldn't, unfortunately, take over the laundry behind the wall here. So I do still have to have my filtration under the tank, and having that extra 20 centimeters of height, or about 8 inches of height under the tank, just makes working on things like a skimmer or a refugium or a turn pump so much easier.
Yeah.
All right, so you ordered it to your specs, everything. How do you get it in your house? How hard was it? Things people should consider when they're ordering a large aquarium and getting it into place.
Yeah, look, I'm fairly fortunate. Well, it's a bit of a double-edged sword here, I guess. I'm fortunate in that I have a lot of friends in the hobby. So when word got out that I had a new tank and I was going to need some bodies to give me a hand lifting it in, I had a lot of volunteers. The downside of that, or the flip side and the poor timing, I guess, was when this tank was delivered, particularly here in Melbourne, Australia, we were in some incredibly tough COVID lockdowns. So it wasn't just an ability to order some pizzas and have some drinks on hand or a barbecue and have a bunch of friends come over and lift it in. It was very, very strict on the number of people we were allowed to have here. So it ended up being a very, very heavy lift. This tank behind me here was in the crate 550 kilos, which I must admit, it's got to be a bit over half a ton. It's a lot of weight, and whilst Waterbox do a fantastic job of packaging the tanks very, very well, there's not hundreds of kilos of wood there. There's probably only maybe 60 kilos of wood. So we're looking at a near 500 kilo tank, and yeah, it wasn't the easiest of path to carry this tank into position. Thankfully, I've got just to my side here a very large double door, sliding door, and I do have a side gate access, which did mean we didn't have to go through narrow doorways or hallways or anything like that. But we did have to carry up along the side of the house over some less than ideal terrain with an incredibly heavy glass box, which did create for a few sore muscles and a few nervous moments for me, but we got it in place all good.
You definitely pulled your favors on that one.
Yeah, it's always
Absolutely.
It's always a bit exciting and challenging to move a big tank like that into its into where it belongs, you know, onto the stand. We on our side, every year we try to find a way to make it a little bit easier on ourselves so we're not breaking our backs.
Yes, yeah.
That's a good point.
Look,
Like those considering custom, like figure the layout of where you have to bring it through. Is there a better access point? Do you have a larger door that might be further but is going to be easy to get through? Because once you get past a certain width, a standard doorway doesn't work for large aquariums. So you have to really understand like how you can navigate this into the spot that you want.
Yeah.
And having enough people on hand, because I don't think people understand how heavy these tanks can really, really be.
Yeah, especially when you have to lift it up onto like a
stand.
meter high stand, and then you know you don't want to
One time I regretted the extra 20 centimeters of stand height. That extra lift was so difficult.
Yeah, you don't want to be deadlifting 500 kgs, you know.
Yeah. Thankfully, that was the one time I regretted the extra stand height.
Yeah, I do whenever our LX stands or any of that. They're so high.
Yeah. So, Sam, when did you set this tank up? You mentioned, what, was this just around 2020 sometime?
Yeah, so this tank is just coming up to 2 years old now, or having water in it for 2 years. I did spend probably a good 9 months before that planning it, so I get great joy from planning all the infrastructure to a fair T. So once things started to come into place, it sort of all went together like a Lego kit because there had been such huge amount of thought gone into it before then. But yeah, it is just nearing the 2 year mark now.
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually a great tip too for anyone looking to get into custom is that planning phase. You know, spend the time to plan it. Know exactly how you're going to set it up.
Yeah.
Know where it's going in the house. Know how it's getting in the house. Who's helping you?
It's a big thing. I mean, you guys do such a great job with your off-the-shelf tanks that so many of these little details are very well thought out. So things that most reefers or aquarists just take for granted, when you go to a custom tank, it's very easy to mess up those little details and you won't notice until it's all in place and set up. So I was very lucky. I had a good friend of mine who owns my local fish shop. We spent months and months planning every detail of this, and things down to the detail of planning the sump so that the baffles in the sump lined up with the uprights of the stand so that each chamber of the sump was perfectly accessible. A very, very fine detail like that, which we covered in full, covered the entire journey on my YouTube channel. So if anyone is as OCD as I am with their custom tank builds, I highly recommend checking that series out.
So the planning phase, like how long do you think, like once you kind of decide, all right, I want to do a water custom, like how long do you think the planning phase was until you were happy with the design and it was ready to kind of go and you're signed off on it? Like how long do you think you spent doing all those final touches?
Yeah, fair call. The tank itself is probably one of the easiest parts. It's effectively, you know, you're in good hands with Waterbox. You know the plans you give are going to be perfect and spot on, and they absolutely were. So the tank was probably a 1 week process of going sort of back and forth of I guess there was some negotiation on the Euro brace sizing. I didn't want to have any any braces going sort of across the tank. I wanted that to be open, so we had to increase the Euro brace size of it just to ensure the tank had plenty of strength. That was really the only challenge there, but it was all those little details about stand height, uprights of stand, sump location, baffles of sump, what equipment we're running, where the power is going to be, how we're going to run top off water to it, how the water changes are going to come in and out of the tank. All of those little details that I highly recommend people spend lots of time on, because it's something that you can completely change on a pen and paper in the space of minutes. But once the tank is behind you like it is now and it's full of water, those changes are near impossible. So take your time and get those steps right.
That's very good advice.
Yeah, great advice.
What I would say, okay, what if you had to choose, what would you do differently about this custom aquarium or how you designed it or anything?
Yeah, I'm actually really pleased with how it turned out. There's very, very little I would change, probably because I did spend ridiculous amounts of time planning all of those details. One thing that I did probably rush over a little bit or didn't give the time of day was the electrical access. In fact, the electrical components of this tank are very well set up in that the tank is on its completely own circuit with a very large battery backup. So the whole suburb can be out of power, and this tank just keeps running for over a day without any problems there whatsoever. but running power to new equipment in this tank. So whilst I provisioned for space and plumbing to new components in this tank, running electrical leads in this tank does require me to grab some long tongs and to reach in behind the tank and try to fish leads through and all that. And thankfully, it's not something I do all that often, but every time I do it, I'm like, how did that happen when I planned this tank for that long? That I didn't give myself just a little bit better access to some more power points.
So when designing like where you're going to put it, or if you need to have an electrician come in, make sure you've got plenty of access and plan your sump and cabinet accordingly to power, which is really important. And like, wouldn't even think to suggest something like that. But you know, you have one power outlet that's behind a bar on your stand, you know, and not be able to get plugs in and trying to get them all the way across. So very good point. Plan your electrical well.
And probably give yourself a bit of space behind the tank too. Everyone wants to have the tank up as hard against the wall as they can because it's just taking up floor space in their house. But it's easy enough when the tank's empty. You can sort of, one or two people can shimmy it out of the way and you can run some cables or things behind there. But when you've got 1,400 kilos of water in there, it doesn't move that easily. So yeah, give yourself as much time as you can to plan that right.
I'm a big fan of keeping a tank away from the wall. Things fall.
Absolutely.
Drop plugs, access, like give us some space. Don't worry about it. It's going to make your life so much easier for the years that it's up and running.
Yep, absolutely. Sam, let's talk a little bit about what's inside the tank. What type of reef, are you running? Is it a mixed reef? Is it, can you elaborate?
Yeah, definitely. It's I would classify it a mixed reef. It will eventually be more SPS dominant. It's probably a 70-30 mix of SPS and LPS. At this stage, it's probably more 50-50 because the inherent nature of LPS is that you sort of put it in, and whilst it does continue to grow, it definitely does not grow at the rate of SPS. So the balance is pretty 50-50 at the moment. I've got a fairly heavy LPS and Euphilia space down here, but the SPS is well and truly catching up. And I must confess, SPS is where my interests and excitement in the hobby are. I do love seeing the growth patterns and the colorations. We're very lucky here in Australia. Our access, particularly to wild caught SPS, is pretty well unparalleled to anywhere else in the world. So we can get what we'll call a colony. You guys would probably call an absolute mother load. It's sort of something about the size of your fist of an SPS wild caught colony is usually around the $50 Australian. So that's like $35 US.
Wow.
And they were literally taken off their barrier reef maybe 36 hours before you pick it up at the store. So
wow.
It's hard not to love SPS when back.
Yeah, when you have a source like that, like here in the US, I mean, $35 will get you a piece this big of a non-named SPS, and that is it. Like, no more. You're not getting anything else than that. It's become such a named, like, frag type of coral as SPS over in the US. Like, you can't get big colonies, especially when they have to ship all the way in, they don't do as well. Like,
there was a day where there were larger colonies.
Back when I had my tanks, probably 15 years ago, like, I buy colonies and stuff, they transship in, like, they'd be great. You can't do that. They can't find it anymore.
No, it's gotten much more, it takes a lot more time to see a very mature tank these days.
With tiny frags.
Yeah, it definitely does. And hence why, my tank, I'd say at the moment is 50-50 LPS, SPS, in that it's not littered completely with just colonies. Definitely Australia is following in America's footsteps in the frag culture, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It does sort of make the hobby a little bit more, makes us a little bit more conscious and be a little bit more sustainable about it all. But it does give you that drawback of you can put 50 frags in a tank this size and you won't notice any difference.
You're on a 5-year plan.
3 or 4 colonies in. Exactly. And that's where I guess for the last 2 years people come over and they say, oh, your tank looks incredible. Okay, yeah, it's looking incredible for its age. When I took down a tank that had been there for 8 years and we had multiple SPS colonies breaching the surface of the water, and it was pretty well a solid SPS 6 by 2 foot chunk. When you go to a tank with deliberately a fairly low line scape with some frags on it, it's hard to get super proud of where it's at, but for the timeline, it's well and truly on track.
Did a lot of your stuff not come over to this aquarium from the first one?
Yeah, coral-wise, very little came across, and I deliberately did that in that because the tank's in the same location and it's very similar size. The last thing I wanted to do was to go through all of this time, money, and effort to replicate the tank I had. So I had a few colonies in there that that tank was pretty well known for. We have a coral down here in Australia called Dallas, ironically. Um, even though it's an Australian, it's basically it's an Aussie version of a barley green slimer. And I had a gigantic colony of that, which my tank was pretty well known for. So everyone just assumed that I'd bring some Dallas across to this tank when I very deliberately haven't put a single frag in. As much as I love the coral, I don't want to replicate it. I know I can grow it, and I know it looks beautiful, but I don't want to end up with the same tank. So I've deliberately gone for different corals. Some of my fish from the previous tank have come across, of course, when they've been with you for 10 years.
Yeah.
They're family members. You're not going to ship them off. But
Yeah.
yeah, coral-wise, I definitely wanted to go for a clean slate.
That's pretty cool. You know what's funny is I've seen some of my favorite tanks that you watch online, and they get huge and they get mature and they have these massive corals in them, and you follow them for years, and then the owner breaks it down. You're like, why? But it makes total sense, right? Because part of the setting up the reef is like, it's like you said, it's like she said, the 5-year plan. You want the challenge. You want to do something new. You want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That once the tank gets to a point where it's on autopilot and it's full and you can't add new corals anymore, and
So you need to upgrade or get another tank.
yeah,
Usually.
exactly. So it makes sense, but it's also kind of like, oh man.
Established tanks. Yeah.
It's a challenge. Yeah, I guess I had the motivation/excuse to change that up. My wife had been desperate for a renovation in our house, and the opportunity to take that previous tank down and redo our floors was the only time we were going to have the ability to do that in this house for probably the next 10 years. So if she was going to get new floors, the tank had to come down, had to come out, floors go in, and then the opportunity to put a new tank in rather than the previous tank. And there were some things, that just basic infrastructure that I definitely wanted to change around, like the wood stand had been exposed to some water and it started to swell a bit and wasn't perfectly square anymore, which made me nervous. A tank that was, nearing a decade old on a stand that wasn't perfectly square. Every time I heard a little bang or a noise, I would always instantly think that the silicon had let go. So getting a nice, very over-engineered extruded aluminium stand that could hold 10 of these tanks if it wanted to, brand new, high-quality water box with perfect silicon joints on it, just makes me sleep much nicer at night.
Don't live in a state of paranoia.
Yeah, that's it.
So obviously it seems like you do. We got to ask, are you the main caretaker of the aquarium, or do you have any service companies, or are you hands-on, take care of all of it?
Yeah, no, it's just myself, hands-on. So most of my journey with this tank is covered on my YouTube channel. So whenever there's any sort of change of equipment or change of methodologies or process, it's completely covered there. And just the general day-to-day cleaning I do myself. But I must admit, I'm a huge, for lack of better words or lack of better phrases, I'm a gear junkie. I do love equipment and gadgets on reef tanks. So I have this tank fairly well automated, and there's very little I do need to do hands-on on a day-to-day basis. And then maybe once a week or once a fortnight, I do then go over and check all those automations because, sometimes the robots get a mind of their own. So, that's a part of the hobby that it probably draws a little bit more on my life outside of aquariums with software and technology. So I've managed to incorporate that into the tank, and that means that it's me and the automations maintaining this tank.
Automation is your friend, especially as you go larger. A lot of tasks and a lot of things that you can kind of, like you said, have controllers or have it being done for you for the most part.
I'm a big advocate of not necessarily automating everything, but the tasks you do not enjoy, automate. Because I see a lot of people automating the tasks they do enjoy, and I'm like, well, why are you taking away your enjoyment from the aquarium? It's okay, like you don't get a badge or an award or a ribbon if you have everything in your tank automated. The automation's there to make your life easier. So some things like the trace element dosing that I do in this tank, I still dose manually the drops each day because it's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy looking at the corals, seeing whether there's any trace elements, or using my experience or knowledge to know whether I need to increase or reduce some of those trace elements. So that's something that I do manually each day. But yeah, other than that, I try to make everything automated as possible.
Give me the amino acids, take the rest.
Exactly.
For those like kind of that maybe are newer to the reef hobby, or thinking about getting into it, is there any of all your years of experience that you've had tips, advice for people getting started that you'd like to put out there?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a few things. Probably the two or three most important things I'd recommend, and I say that coming into from someone who came into the hobby with absolutely no fish keeping background at all, is as tempting as it is to go custom straight off the bat. Do not do it. There are some incredible, particularly these days, there are some incredible off-the-shelf systems out there that are going to reduce your learning curve dramatically. So I highly recommend picking up a off-the-shelf system, even if it is like I did for a short period of time, just to help you get your bearings and find your feet in the hobby. If you don't have to worry about designing where your overflow is going to go, where to mount wave makers, what settings to put your lights on, if you can go online and go, this person has the exact same tank as I do, they're running this pump, they've mounted the wave maker here, they've got these lights on this spectrum, on this schedule, it takes away so much of that learning curve for you. So I highly recommend going off the shelf system first, and then to back that up, whether it be either or, but probably both, find someone in the hobby that has the result that you are after, not necessarily the same tank that you have, but are achieving what you want to achieve, whether it's keeping a particular fish or a particular coral or both or whatever it is, and learn from them. There's no shame in emulating someone else's success. You guys know as well as anyone in this hobby, there are a million different opinions on how to run a reef tank. And what probably makes it even more confusing is that they're not all wrong. There are lots of ways that you can achieve success. So it can be super confusing because if you try to take a bit of method A and a bit of method B and join them together, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to work. So find a system that has the results you want, and don't be afraid to follow in their footsteps. And then last but not least, something that gets overlooked way too often in this day and age is to find a good local fish shop and build a good rapport with them. It's super easy and accessible these days to take people's opinion off the internet, which is great. I'm a YouTuber, I'm an influencer, and I'm part of that problem, I guess. But there is absolutely nothing better than someone that knows your tank. They've helped you set it up. They've sold you the fish. They've sold you the coral, and you can ask them questions. They know you on that sort of level and can recommend just exactly what you and your tank need or what you don't need. So I'm a huge advocate of really build a good rapport with your local fish shop, or find a good local fish shop. For me, mine's over an hour away. I will travel there every single week because I know I get the best advice, the best quality livestock. Pricing, not as important. I don't mind if it's $3, $5 more than I could get online because I can see it in person, I can buy it, I can take it home, and most importantly, I get that advice.
So Sam, thank you again so much for joining us here. I hope that our viewers here on Blue Friday will find some inspiration from your custom aquarium and a lot of knowledge from it also. You do have a YouTube. Can you tell us where they can find you?
Yeah, anyone that's interested in my journey with both what I call my dream reef tank behind me, and also just Australian, other people's tanks in Australia, or events or store tours, you can find me at Parkers Reef on YouTube. Normally I have 2 videos out a week, on a Saturday and a Sunday, and yeah, everyone's welcome.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh, definitely check it out. There's a lot of great stuff on that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people will be following you and getting a lot of inspiration going for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on here with us.
Thank you, Sam. We appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Hopefully we get to meet you down in Australia someday.
Fly us over.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it.
Love it. I mean, a lot of people I say, like, they've seen his YouTube, they follow him. And it really is a really well planned out, executed, and beautiful large custom aquarium. From
Yeah,
Waterbox,
a lot of planning went into that aquarium. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. Again, you can follow him at Parkers Reef on YouTube. I see a lot of you guys are already watching his channel, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's one thing, because, I mean, you see the extensiveness of the planning and everything that's gone into it, is to kind of like put that fact in there of, if you're just starting out, or you're not sure what you want to do, or you're not looking to go something really special, go with a production model, standard. it's just it's gonna be a lot easier. It's all thought out for you. Custom really does take a lot of work from when you put the quote in all the way through the planning to just getting it to your house and cording everything in there. So it is a bigger undertaking. So custom for when you've kind of grown to that point, but start with a production model. Something that's right there, ready to go. You don't have to do any of that. So custom is great for the right timing.
Yeah, get a little bit of experience under your belt if you're just starting out. Don't try to jump right into custom. That's the moral of that story. That was a really, really great tip. But if you are looking to get something custom, it's now available in the US and Canada. So if you head over to Waterbox Aquariums, you can find it right there in the navigation under aquarium type or size. So.
And check that out. All right, we got some winners.
Yes.
Because we love to give stuff away, and on Blue Friday, we give a lot of stuff away. So this is for the entries that have been gone in for this stream. Are we ready? This is for the first $500 gift card. Ready? Winner is...
Waterbox drum roll. Paul Dickerson. Congratulations, Paul. Email winners at waterboxaquariums.com and they will get you hooked up with your gift card. You can spend it on the best day of the year. Sales are still going on, you guys. Take advantage of them. If you know what tank you're ordering, order it early. Yeah.
It does go through the 11th, but it's always better to get in earlier rather than later. So just on the safe side.
Yeah. Check out if you guys need any accessories, salt, Ceche, Carib Sea. Take advantage of that. We're running a little tight for the next stream. Definitely tune in because we're going to be doing a live fragging demonstration.
All right, so we got another $500 gift card. Ready?
I'm trying to skip through these.
Yeah, you're giving no winners this time.
These guys aren't going to like me. Josh Melton. Congratulations, Josh. Email winners at waterboxaquariums.com. And they'll get you hooked up with your gift card. You can spend that this week.
All right, and we still have a Cube 20 package. All right, ready for that one? All right, winner is...
Desiree S. Congratulations, Desiree. Woo! Email winners at waterboxaquariums.com. They will get you hooked up.
And now you can end the stream.
Okay, thank you. I've screwed that up both times. I'm like expecting more winners, and this time there was just no winners. Join us here in about 15 minutes. We got the guys from Living Reef here. We're doing a live fragging demonstration. If you ever wonder how to frag corals at scale or just in general, you want to be here for this. Thank you, guys.
See you soon.
Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell.
Don't go anywhere. Make sure to join us for the next Blue Friday stream for more guests and giveaways. And don't forget, Blue Friday is the best day to save big on your new Waterbox aquarium.
There will be sales on aquariums, accessories, and equipment. Sales are live in the USA, Canada, United Kingdom, and Europe on Friday, November 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern until Friday, November 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern. This year's Blue Friday sweepstakes is to support recovery of those affected by the catastrophic Hurricane Ian that made landfall in Southwest Florida. All proceeds will be donated to the Florida Disaster Fund, which is a private fund established to assist Florida's communities as they respond and recover during times of emergency or disaster. To learn more about Blue Friday, visit waterboxaquariums.com.